Which Scarlet and Violet booster boxes are going to the moon? There's a question we wish we knew the answer to. Let's explore that topic though through chase cards. Now, chase cards are incredibly important to the future sealed booster box price and of course elite trainer box price for holiday sets. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name's Michael /PokeOz. We talk all things Pokemon card investing on this channel. If you have been coming back and supporting the channel, which I think a fair few of you do, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your support. The comments are always super positive, other than the odd few, of course. Always upsetting a few people, but what are you going to do, hey? So thank you heaps, returning viewers. On to the topic. So one of the most common questions I get asked is, which Scarlet and Violet booster boxes are going to balloon in price? Because if we look back and we go, well, look at Sword and Shield, look at Evolving Skies, look at Fusion Strike, look what Brilliant Stars has done in the last 6 months, look at what Astral Radiant, Silver Tempest, Lost Origin have done in the last 6 months. All of the Sword and Shield booster boxes, which mind you, most people, if you lived throughout that era, were saying they're not going to go up in price. Why? Because they're massively overprinted. There's way too much supply in the market. Everyone's hoarding them. There was so much commentary around those arguments and the reason as to why they would just never go up in price. And look, Sword and Shield has proved most people wrong, certainly not me. I always had faith in it rising up in price. But now we get to Scarlet and Violet era, and there's a few more spanners thrown into the works. Needless to say, booster boxes are a lot more expensive than they once were. So then it's like, well, hold on, going from $100 US to $200 US, which is 2x your money, was huge. Like once a booster box did that, you were like, whoa, I've 2x my money. Or Fusion Strike, I got it at 90 and it's gone to $180 US. I've 2x my money. And it's like, well, now you struggle to buy a booster box at the store or online for $180 US or $200 US. That's how damn expensive they've become. So there's more spanners in the works than before. And look, I'm not going to be naive and say that's not a problem. Of course it's a problem. It's going to affect the profit you make. You've now got to go from 200 to 400, whereas you could go from 100 to 400 and 4x your money. Going from 200 to 400, of course, you're only 2xing your money. So look, there are spanners in the works, but we can still delve into this question around which Scarlet and Violet booster boxes are going to go up in price. And like I said, we're going to go through it through chase cards. So let's rewind way back in time to Burning Shadows. Burning Shadows still has one of the top chase cards from the whole Sun and Moon era. And in case you're incredibly new to the hobby, Sun and Moon era was the era we had before Sword and Shield, which was the era we had before Scarlet and Violet, which is our current era. Burning Shadows had terrible print quality, but it had a mega chase card, and that was the Rainbow Charizard. Rainbow cards, unfortunately, during the first half of Sun and Moon, were the main chase cards. And look, it was too during Sword and Shield before we got alternate arts. And it was too in Sun and Moon before we hit some really nice trainer cards and also, of course, the team up or the tag team sets, which had some alternate art sort of tag team style Pokemon cards inside there. But Charizard, it's over $400 raw. And it's worth over $3,000 US in a PSA 10. It's a massive chase card. And then we look at the booster box price. And it was only a few months ago that it really went from like $400 US to over $700 US. Before that, it was sitting at like $400 US for ages. So it was older than all the tag team sets. It had arguably one of the strongest chase cards, if not the second strongest chase card from the whole era, in that Charizard, particularly when it grades a PSA 10. And then you're like, well, why did box price just sit at $400 for so long? I think it can tell us something. It can tell us that it needs to have not only a strong chase card, but support to that chase card. And then we go to a set like Team Up, and there's our answer. There's our answer straight away. The main chase card is so important. So Team Up has a stronger main chase card. And look, there's reasons why it's stronger in price. There's reasons why all the chase cards are stronger in price than Team Up, because there's way less supply. We all know that card set got short printed and then never got reprinted. So that comes in the equation a lot. And we're probably not going to see that during Scarlet and Violet era, but we'll loop back around to that at the end. So then we get a set like Team Up that has a mega chase card that goes for like nearly $2,000 raw and like over $6,000 as a PSA 10. But not only that, it was supported by multiple strong chase cards alongside that. I think there's 12 cards over $100 US in Team Up. Like that is just astronomical. And if we further this argument and we go, well, how important is just a chase card versus how important is multiple chase cards? When we jump into a set like Evolving Skies, I mean, that pretty much tells us all we need to hear. It's the same story as Team Up. It's the best performing booster box from the whole Sword and Shield era. Why? Because it has one mega chase card in that Umbreon VX, but more than that, it has support chase cards. That Rayquaza is similar to like the Gengar and Mimikyu support card from Team Up. It's over $600. I think it's over $700 in Evolving Skies. And what do you know? Booster box prices have just gone absolutely parabolic. Now, if we compare that to other sets like Fusion Strike has two mega chase cards. It has the Gengar, which is massive, but then it has a really, really strong support chase card in that Espeon. Now, put it this way, if Fusion Strike only had the Gengar, would the booster box price be as strong? Or would it follow a similar trend as something like Burning Shadows, where it was like a one-hit wonder? Probably be somewhat similar. And talking about one-hit wonders, if you go to a set like Silver Tempest, right, that really is, other than the Trainer Gallery, which has a beautiful Rayquaza inside there and some nice sort of ancillary hits, we are really a one-hit wonder, which is that Lugia. But keep in mind, there's not much of a grading play to that Lugia. That Lugia from Silver Tempest has over 17,000 PSA 10 copies, and I think, look, it's going for currently maybe $650 US, which is sort of 2 times its raw price, and it's going somewhere around $250 to $300 US as a raw card. But that's a one-hit wonder. And then you go, well, there's a lot we can learn from both Sword and Shield and Sun and Moon, and we can transfer it over to Scarlet and Violet to really get an idea of which booster boxes are going to take off. And look, if we go through very quickly a lot of the Scarlet and Violet sets, I mean, Paldea Evolve really has one really strong chase card in that Magikarp, which has a massive grading play attached to it because it's really hard to gem mint 10. It's like a 22% chance of gem minting this card at 10. Terrible print quality, quite often gets print lines inside it, and once there's one print line, even if the rest of the card is absolutely mint, it will not grade a 10, it just doesn't. It grades a 9 or an 8, or in some cases maybe even less than that. So does Paldea Evolved have enough to be super strong? We all know there's plenty of depth to Scarlet and Violet. There's no discrediting that. There is so much depth in Scarlet and Violet. We have so many beautiful special illustration rares, we have so many beautiful illustration rares. But is there enough super strong chase cards? Obsidian Flames certainly doesn't have enough. Even the main chase card, pull rates are quite low, quite easy on Obsidian Flames. Then we move to the next set, Paradox Rift. Again, does it have a strong enough chase inside there? Temporal Forces is another set. Same thing. Beautiful chase cards and beautiful depth, but where's the big, strong, absolute banger of a hit? And then we get to a set like Twilight Masquerade, which has, it sort of felt like it bought us the first really strong hit. You know, that north of $300 chase card in the Greninja there. We had hits from Paldean Fates and we had hits from 151, but none of them were north of $300 when Twilight Masquerade come out. And it's like, whoa, okay, Scarlet and Violet is now showing us that it can hold strong chase cards. And that Greninja really started that trend. And then we move along to sets like, and I don't even need to go into the Stellar Crown, it doesn't really have much there in terms of chase cards. Then we get to Surging Sparks and we finally had multiple chase cards. We have the Pikachu, which is strong, which mind you is going down in price quite rapidly. And then we have, you know, the Latias, we have the Milotic. It has some strong cards there to support it. And then we get to a set like, you know, Journey Together and then Destined Rivals that's just come out. And look, Destined Rivals singles prices will head in this direction. They just will. And a lot of people have said, no, they won't. Like, people said that to me when Surging Sparks come out. I said, look, all the singles are going to trend downwards. Buying a Pikachu at $600 US raw probably isn't going to be the best play. It'll be reprinted. There'll be more supply that comes out of that card. They're so overpriced when they literally first come out the first fortnight. It always does that. Even Prismatic Evolutions, which is arguably one of the hardest Pokemon card sets to get hold of, it's still trending downwards in price. It'll find its equilibrium, and then no doubt, as time goes on, some of those cards will start to pop off again, and maybe total set value will start to increase again from some of these sets. And that's another point that I want to make. Just because the card prices are what they are now, doesn't mean they're going to be like that in the future. If one of these sets fails to get a reprint, what do you know? People might go, hold on, these are actually a little bit rarer than what we thought. And then all of a sudden, you know, card prices go up. And look, to summarize the whole point I'm trying to make here, when it comes to chase cards and total set value and also, you know, booster box price for the future, the chase card is so important, but more than that, to become a super strong booster box or a super strong sealed product, you need support there. It really does. And when I look through whole of Scarlet and Violet, and we almost zoom out, right? So let's pretend we're zooming out and we're putting Scarlet and Violet as an era, Sword and Shield as an era, Sun and Moon as an era, XY as an era, We can go all the way back in time to the beginning of Pokemon. This is going to be a blip in the ocean eventually, because then we're going to have a new era, then we're going to have another era. So if we zoom right out and look at that timeline of Pokemon, and we zoom in on Scarlet and Violet, it feels ever important right now because we're living in the Scarlet and Violet moment. But as we zoom out and time goes by and that timeline for Pokemon cards expand, it's eventually just going to be a drop in the ocean. And people are only going to remember what's important from there. You know, you look back to Black and White and you go, oh, that's so far ago now. And what do people remember? People remember Dragons Exalted because you've got a hyper rare or a secret rare or whatever they called them back then, Rayquaza. People remember Plasma Storm because you got that beautiful hyper rare Charizard and Blastoise in there. And then you go to XY and people remember sets like Phantom Forces and Flash Fire because you've got all those Charizard chases. And then you go to Sun and Moon and everyone's mind's on Team Up because of just how strong the chase cards are inside there. And people love the tag teams and the alt arts in there. And then you go to Sword and Shield and everyone's going to remember Evolving Skies. Of course, that's the set of Sword and Shield. And then second to that, people are going to remember the beautiful Giratina from Lost Origin. They're going to remember the 2 top chase cards from Fusion Strike. And they're probably going to remember how good, Lugia was from Silver Tempest. But what I'm doing here, I'm talking from a zoomed out perspective across those eras. And then we get to Scarlet and Violet. And it's like, okay, what are people going to remember? What sets are going to be remembered? What sets are going to have the booster box that pops off because people remember it? And the reason people remember it is because there's damn good chase cards inside there. There's a massive, massive hit, which people will want to chase, and they'll also want to gamble there. They'll want to gamble for a Gem Mint 10, and they'll want to know that if they do get a Gem Mint 10, that's going to be worth a lot of money. Because if it's not worth much more than what it is raw, then what's the point? There's no gamble there. There's no hype to that set. There's no hype to that chase card. And then on top of that, if it's got a super strong chase card, it needs to have a lot of super strong ancillary hits to follow it up. And then, okay, we're zoomed out from Scarlet and Violet here and we look at it, and I look at it from a booster box point of view and I go, well, nothing really stands out at the moment, which sounds a bit mean. And then I see 151 and Prismatic Evolutions and I go, well, yeah, they're the investments from Scarlet and Violet. They are, particularly Prismatic Evolutions. It has a massive chase card in that Umbreon, and then it just has so much support chase cards to it, it's not funny. But then when I look at booster boxes, and I know we're talking about booster boxes in this video, like it feels like a little bit of a no-brainer. We go, well, Twilight Masquerade bought us the first main chase card above $300, and you know what? The Perrin it's got Perrin and Carmine. They will be 2 solid support cards for that. They'll be 2 solid chases to support Greninja. And then I think you got Eevee in there, maybe it's the 4th most expensive card. So Twilight Masquerade will perform well. Then we get to a set like Surging Sparks. That will also perform well because it's got a good chase card in that rainbow bordered Pikachu, plus it's got Latias, plus it's got Milotic, Hydreigon, like it's got enough there to keep it going. And then we get to a set like Destined Rivals, and we need to find this equilibrium for Destined Rivals. Prices are too strong at the moment. It's too hard to tell what that set's going to do in the future. It literally just came out. I'm not going to make any predictions about Destined Rivals. Let it settle in. But from the get-go, just looking at it, it's like, okay, yep, it's going to have that Rockets Mewtwo. It's going to have, Rockets Moltres. It's going to have, a few other support cards there that will serve it well. And then it's like, well, is the depth of chase in sets like Paradox Rift and Temporal Forces and Paldea Evolved, are they enough to keep those sets going? They're all going to go up in value because it's Pokemon and they just will. But when you zoom right out and you look at it as an era, my eyes just keep going to 151 and Prismatic Evolutions. Let's see what Destined Rivals will do. Like I said, it's too early to make any bold predictions on that. But anyway, there's my take on on chase cards and which booster boxes from Scarlet and Violet are going to see us some gains in the future. I'm Michael, this is PokeOz. Catch everyone next time.